In a drunken bid for attention, Jake's reckless courage leads him to confront the formidable royal guard of Buckingham Palace, only to discover that true bravery isn't in the act of defiance, but in the humility that follows. As his stone clatters harmlessly against the palace walls, he ignites an unexpected lesson on respect and the weight of tradition. Will he emerge from this moment of impulsivity as a hero in his friend's eyes, or will he awaken to a deeper understanding of what it means to stand tall? The clash between youthful arrogance and unwavering dignity unfolds. Who will truly emerge victorious? The sun was beginning its descent behind the illustrious Buckingham Palace, casting a warm golden hue across the manicured gardens and the iconic facade of the historic residence. The air buzzed with excitement as a myriad of tourists roamed the grounds, their cameras clicking incessantly to capture the opulence of the palace that had stood for centuries. Flanked by Union flags and vibrant flower beds, it was a picture-perfect scene, one that resonated with the rich tapestry of British culture and history. However, amidst this picturesque view, tension simmered in a corner where youthful bravado threatened to disrupt the tranquility. Jake, clad in a loose-fitting t-shirt and faded jeans, stood at the forefront of a small gathering of friends, laughter bubbling forth from them like the fizz of a shaken soda can. His eyes sparkled with mischief, a glint that was amplified by the alcohol he had consumed. He thrived on attention. Every jest, every outrageous act felt like a step closer to the fleeting fame he constantly sought. "Come on, it'll be legendary," he urged his friends with a confidence that was anything but grounded in reason. They shuffled in an eager circle around him, egging him on, their voices merging into a chorus of encouragement that momentarily drowned out the sounds of the milling crowd. Amidst the camaraderie, he gazed at the stoic royal guard standing like a statue beside the palace, clad in the iconic red tunic and bearskin hat, Marcus. The guard's presence was a stark contrast to Jake's exuberance. Where Jake was alive with impulsive energy, Marcus embodied unwavering composure, a living testament to dignity and decorum. He had shifted from one leg to another, his gaze fixed forward, seemingly impenetrable to the raucous laughter just a few feet away. For Jake, the guard was a challenge, a barrier standing in the way of his daring adventure. "Look at him," Jake scoffed, motioning with exaggerated disdain towards Marcus. "He's just standing there like a rock. How hard can it be to summon a little courage? You think he'd even notice a stone?" His friends laughed even harder, the alcohol fueling their bravery, wrapping them in the warmth of shared excitement. In that moment, the resolve to stand out transformed into an impulsive plan. With a cocky grin, Jake knelt and picked up a small stone from the ground, the weight of it momentarily grounding him. It felt cool and sturdy in his palm, a tangible representation of his determination. "Hold on! You're going to want to see this," he announced, taking a few bold steps forward, the laughter of his friends echoing behind him, like a cheerleading squad rooting for victory. Already a slight stir began among the onlookers, aloof tourists beginning to take note of Jake's brash maneuvering. Few anticipated the reckless act that was about to unfold, but when it did, a sharp intake of breath swept through the crowd as they caught his intentions. With a deep, ostentatious breath, Jake hurled the stone toward the now unmoving figure of the guard, his aim barely missing the guard, instead striking the palace wall with a dull thud. The laughter faltered instantly, fading into an uneasy silence, as unexpected ripples spread throughout the crowd. Marcus, however, did not twitch or flinch at the sound or the impending disruption he sensed. Instead, he took a step forward, moving with a grace that bespoke years of solemn duty, his demeanor calm amidst the brewing tension that hung in the air. As spectators leaned in, adrenaline thrumming through their veins, he addressed Jake with a voice that was steady and authoritative. "Is this truly how you wish to be remembered, young man?" Jake found himself momentarily speechless, the gravity of Marcus's question echoing way beyond the mischief that had driven him moments ago. For the first time, he felt exposed, confronted not with anger, but with an earnest demand for reflection. As the onlookers held their breaths, Jake was caught, trapped between the echoes of laughter and the piercing clarity of the guard's inquiry. In that fleeting moment, a subtle shift began. The air pulsed with a mixture of anticipation and curiosity, as Jake faced the man he had so flippantly sought to provoke. Perhaps this encounter, rooted in impulse, would lead not to ignominious disgrace, but to an unexpected lesson. The laughter that erupted after Jake's reckless act quickly dissipated, lingering in the air like unwanted smoke. A tense silence replaced it as the crowd braced for Marcus's reaction. Jake felt a thrill run through him, momentarily mixed with apprehension, but he still reveled in the attention. Yet as Marcus stepped forward, his demeanor calm and composed, Jake's confidence began to wane. "Are you looking for a reaction?" Marcus asked, his voice a measured baritone that carried authority without a hint of anger. Jake blinked, dumbfounded. The atmosphere was electric, the tourists staring wide-eyed. Yet Marcus did not raise his voice or gesture with dramatic flair. Instead, he looked at Jake as if he were an inquisitive child rather than a reckless young man. "Is this a game to you?" Marcus continued, his eyes steady, piercing through Jake's bravado. "Is this how you seek to impress your friends?" Despite the swirling emotions within him, Jake found himself momentarily speechless, wrestling between defiance and the absurdity of his impulsive action. It's, it's just a bit of fun," Jake stammered finally, trying to reclaim some semblance of his shattering bravado, though his voice lacked its usual confidence. A few chuckles surfaced from his friends, but even they felt the weight of Marcus's presence. "Fun?" Marcus echoed, stepping closer, his posture unwavering. "Allow me to remind you that this place is a symbol of something larger than the thrill of a youthful prank. This isn't just stone and mortar. It's history. It stands for the sacrifices of many who upheld values far greater than our fleeting whims." Each word hit Jake like a gust of wind, trying to push him back, to instill a sense of gravity amidst his haze of intoxication. Jake glanced at the palace, its grand facade stretching upward as if it were challenging him to comprehend its significance. In the growing distance of an emotional reckoning, he caught sight of the royal insignia, its intricate details woven through centuries of tradition. "I didn't mean to disrespect," he murmured, somewhat taken aback at the sudden weightiness of his actions. A pang of guilt flickered within him, but he quickly extinguished it with the flicker of his youthful arrogance. "Did you not?" Marcus pressed, his voice unwavering but gentler now. "You might see this as a mere moment of excitement, but those who guard this palace do so with the understanding of their collective duty. Each guard standing here signifies a historical lineage. We represent the dignity and respect of this nation. It is not an act of bravery to defy a symbol. It's an act of ignorance." There was an earnestness in Marcus's words that cracked through Jake's bravado, forcing him to confront the inconsistency of his beliefs. "But it was just a stone," Jake exclaimed defensively. "No one got hurt." The jest in his tone wavered as he spoke, reflecting a glimmer of uncertainty that contradicted the bravado that pushed him forward. "But the intention behind the act is what carries weight," Marcus replied, unwavering. "What motivates you to seek approval through disrespect? Does the laughter of your friends outweigh the lessons of our past?" His calm scrutiny began to unsettle Jake, each rhetorical question driving him deeper into introspection. The raucous energy of his friends felt like a distant memory now. They exchanged glances and whispered amongst themselves, their amusement replaced with concern. Feeling trapped, Jake's mind raced. What was he seeking to prove? The thrill had turned sour, and he felt all but exposed. "I don't know. I just wanted to do something legendary," he muttered, scarcely louder than a whisper, consumed by the weight of his own reflections. Marcus's expression softened, a trace of understanding breaking through his stoic exterior. "Legendary. True legends don't defy without cause. They act with purpose. They carry responsibility. They teach and protect." There was a beatitude in Marcus's tone that momentarily soothed Jake's spiraling thoughts. "Perhaps it is you who should rediscover what motivates your actions. What do you stand for?" With each moment, the distinction between Jake's bravado and Marcus's dignity blurred. The challenge hung in the air like a question seeking resolution. Suddenly, the crowd began to shift uneasily. Whispers floated through the throng as more eyes drew nearer, intent on witnessing this profound exchange at the heart of Britain's sacred history. I just wanted to be remembered, Jake finally admitted, his bravado stripped away, leaving behind naked vulnerability. I wanted to be someone people could talk about. This wasn't the response he had rehearsed in his head, the one that would have affirmed his temporary notoriety. Rather, it laid him bare before Marcus and the onlookers. Then let me ask you this, Marcus said, leaning slightly forward, his eyes locking onto Jake's with measured intensity. How do you wish to be remembered? As a man of impulsivity who cowers before his whims, or as someone who learns from this moment? The question hung between them, echoing like a solemn vow in Jake's heart. At this juncture, a flurry of mocking laughter erupted from one of Jake's friends. Come on, mate. You're not actually listening to him, are you? Just walk away. It's not like he's going to do anything, Kyle scoffed. But inside, Jake felt a strange tug, a commingling warmth and depth that Marcus's presence ignited. I don't know, Jake stammered, his voice trembling with a concoction of emotions. A part of him longed to dismiss the moment entirely, returning to the familiar guise of bravado imbued with recklessness. But another part, a growing, unfamiliar part, felt an inkling of responsibility struggling to rise. I guess I want to be better, but... Yet before he could finish, the crowd erupted once more, this time not in laughter, but shock as an authoritative figure, a senior officer, approached with urgency. He had seen the commotion. What is going on here? The authoritative tone cut through the tense air, swirling chaos amidst the unfolding revelation. Jake froze. The warmth of Marcus's acknowledgement was now overshadowed by an expanding uncertainty as all eyes turned to him. Would this moment lead to his redemption or reckoning? A heavy silence enveloped Buckingham Palace, thickening the air between the defiant young tourist and the unyielding royal guard. Jake's heart thudded in his chest, the intoxicating bravado that propelled him moments ago, now replaced by a gnawing discomfort. Around him, his friends shifted uneasily, their laughter replaced with a tidal wave of tension. Marcus stood before him, the embodiment of regal composure, the sunlight glinting off his ceremonial uniform, illuminating the gravity of the situation. What were you thinking? Marcus's voice was steady, rippling through the quiet. Do you know what this place represents? It's not just stone and mortar. It's history. His eyes, deep and reflective, pierced into Jake's. Something flickered in Jake's chest, a flicker of realization washing over him, juxtaposed with the intoxicating remnants of unyielding arrogance. Jake had imagined a grand spectacle, a tale to regale his friends over drinks, the time I challenged a royal guard. But as Marcus expounded on the pride and tradition embedded into each harmonious note of the evening's history, Jake felt stripped bare, naked against the weight of his thoughtlessness. You think bravery is about throwing a stone? Marcus continued, eyebrows slightly raised, an invitation more than a confrontation. Bravery is respecting what came before you and understanding your place within that legacy. The watchful eyes of the tourists bore down upon Jake, and the initial thrill of rebellion twisted into a profound self-reflection. The crowd's fascination felt heavy, like invisible chains binding him to that moment. You wanted fame, Marcus said softly but directly, pushing further. But what legacy do you want to create? What story will you tell? With each question, Jake's bravado melted like snow in the spring sun. I just thought it would be funny, he mumbled, the echo of his own hollow bravado reverberating back to bite him. Funny? Marcus raised an eyebrow, skepticism mingling with empathy. Or perhaps you're just afraid of being invisible. Fame doesn't come from defiance, but from understanding, respect, and building something meaningful. The wisdom in his words unsettled Jake, raising fundamental questions within him. Before he could respond, the senior officer's voice cut through the air, barking orders as he stepped into view. But this time, amidst the clamor, Jake's chance for redemption sparkled before him like sunlight breaking through storm clouds. In that moment of crisis, he felt a clarity he hadn't anticipated. I'm sorry, Jake blurted out, hushed yet fervent, surprising even himself. The wave of humility wrapped around him, offering a turning point as the crowd shifted, their gaze intrigued. For the first time, he began to grasp the true nature of bravery and tradition. As the sun began its descent behind the iconic silhouette of Buckingham Palace, casting long shadows on the ground, Jake stood surrounded by his friends, the weight of his apology still lingering in the air. Marcus, the royal guard, observed with a nod of approval. He could see that Jake had absorbed the lessons woven into his earlier words, a flicker of growth igniting in the young man's eyes. Jake's friends, initially filled with mischief, now adopted a more somber demeanor, their laughter replaced by a newfound respect for what had just transpired. "Hey, mate," Jake began, his voice steady yet uncertain. "I really didn't think about what I was doing. I thought being reckless would make me cool." He paused, scanning the faces around him for affirmation before continuing. "I learned something unexpected today. Real bravery comes from humility, not from causing chaos." Marcus stepped closer, his expression a mix of pride and understanding. "It takes courage to admit when you're wrong, Jake. That's a lesson most won't grasp until much later in life." As the group began to disperse, Jake felt lighter, the experiences of the day reverberating within him. He turned to his friends, sharing the story of his encounter with Marcus, keen to illuminate the gravity of respect and the power of tradition. "Next time, I think I'll think before I act," Jake concluded, a genuine smile breaking through. The sun dipped lower, leaving the palace shimmering, a symbol not just of royalty, but of the profound truths found in unlikely moments.